Hey y'all, quick video on kind of a shapeshifter broken object combination. Of course, I'm trying to go in here and cancel Hulu. Watched a show for a month. Now I'm done. Need to cancel. So this is my current plan. And of course, there's no cancel button, which of course is a dark pattern as well. So sometimes broken objects can be dark patterns. This was obviously done intentionally to make it difficult to cancel. Am I not seeing it? Scrolling down. So part of me says, okay, maybe if I go into plan details, maybe the cancel button is there, right? So going into plan details, of course, also does not have a cancel button. So that's going to be a broken object. Basically, the handle on the thing is not there, right? Like I can't pick it up and manipulate this thing in the way that I want to. So I'm like rage clicking here, like, no, I don't want it to be my current plan. Where's my toggle? So there's a toggle switch to turn another plan on, but there's no toggle switch to turn the current plan off. So I don't have adequate affordances for this particular plan object. Now, the shape shifting that I want to talk about is actually between this card and the detail overlay, right? So what they've done here is they've added additional information, but they have not included the information that is already on here. So what it's making me do is kind of do some memorization here. So for this one, this will come out in the middle so I can still kind of see the $13.99 a month. So they've said the price is really, really important. And I think there's some additional, and then like additional terms and conditions, price will increase on a certain date. That is for me. So that is customized for me, right? But what it's doing is when you go into a detail view, any information that was on the card view, that was basically on the preview view, should also be included in the detail view. You shouldn't have some stuff in some view and some stuff in the other view and make the user kind of concatenate that together. I think the idea is like, oh, well, it's there. We don't need to put it here. It's going to be, it's going to be added clutter to the design. We already have it here. We don't need it here. But the problem is you never want to ask your user to memorize something. And if you include it in a way where visually it looks exactly the same, the user can easily scan over that. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to include the price again with like a different design, like putting it in blue text or green text or red text or changing the size of it, or not even like things like not including the little asterisks in this information, or like having this information bigger or something. Like it should be like, basically what I want to do is screenshot this little guy here, and this should be added right underneath so it looks exactly the same. And even you could even take a step farther to really make sure that it's clear to the user, like, oh, this is the stuff that you were just looking at. We're just including it here too, because we're in details. These are details too. These are actually the most important details. And the fact that it's my current plan, that's another thing that should also show here, to just kind of repeat that information. So again, this is not adding clutter. What it's actually doing is it's reducing the cognitive load on the user because they're not having to kind of go back and forth between these things. This one's not quite as egregious because I can easily kind of just like, click off of it, but I will often see this from page to page. So the entire page refreshes and the user would actually have to click the back button to get information from that card. They might even have to scroll. So let's say this was all in a list or something, and I had to scroll through 17 plans or something. And then when I clicked into it, I went to a detail page that was a completely new URL. The page refreshed. And then I'm trying to think about the price. Right? And then I think, oh, wait, what was the price on this one? And maybe there's even like a sign up button or something like this. Can I sign up? Do I lose my call to action if I go here? Okay, let's say there, yeah, I do. So if I actually want to say if I'm looking at the details, I'm talking about two things at once now. Sophia, finish your thought. So basically what you're asking the user to do is in the case that I would have to go to a new URL, I would have to click back and then re-find it in the list, right? To figure out what the price was, or even like, am I looking at my current plan or am I looking at another plan? So in this screen, it's not so egregious. It's even worse doing this when you are refreshing the page, taking the user to a new page. And if there's a whole lot of those instances of the objects, that the user would have to go back and scroll through and find that piece of information that was not included on the detail page. Does that make sense? Cool. So then the other thing I was talking about is that call to action. So not bringing the call to action forward. So here, if I do go into the details here and decide I want this one and I read through all the details, you're making the user click out of this and remember which one did I just click on, because I was looking at all those details. Like maybe it was like, this particular bullet point that I was like, oh yeah, that's got me sold. And then I have to click out and be like, wait, which one was I just looking at? To then click the toggle button. So any calls to action, any attributes that are on the card need to be also on the detail page in the exact same visual design as much as possible, so the user doesn't think it's a new thing, right? If it looks exactly the same, they'll be able to just scroll right through it, and you're just doing them a favor. You're not adding additional clutter. And definitely bring those CTAs over. Bring any ways that the user can manipulate the thing in the card. They better freaking be able to manipulate that thing in the same way on the detail page. All right. I can see the technical issues here. So this is something you need to talk to your developers about. The technical thing that you might run into is this right here is a customized version for me. Okay. So maybe even things like price, could that be customized for me? Like maybe they're, toggling the things up and down, right? For depending on maybe where I am in the world, or like if how long I've been a Hulu customer, I don't know. Is everybody seeing the same price? But definitely like this date is custom to me. The fact that it's a current plan is custom to me. In the OOUX masterclass, we use the term relative. These are relative pieces of information, relative attributes, where everybody's going to kind of see something a little bit different. So right now in this screen, we can have information that's relative to the end user. And what might be happening here from a technical perspective is this is just static for everybody. Okay, so this is getting pulled from potentially like a different database, or from a technical perspective, it's working a little bit different. So this is just something you want to talk to your developers about, because you're always talking in the OOUX process, of course, you're always bringing your developers along the way here, and making sure that, that this information can also be relative as well. So this is definitely no deal breaker, but there might be those kind of the way that the data is set up in the back end. Just be aware of that. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a shapeshifter, broken object combination here, and just don't make that mistake. Make sure your objects are manipulable and they are as consistent as possible from card to card, and also from card to detail page. Okay, cool. Happy OUXing.